Let's bring in Justin Moore, who is he just won this ACM. Good morning. How are you, my man? He won the Academy of Country Music Award for Best New Artist, which was just, I think, weeks ago, right? Like a week or two ago.
Yeah, like a week and a half ago. 6 years later, we won a New Artist Award. So.
Explain that to me, because, see, I am not a huge country fan. It's like when I have a wrestler come in here, and I don't mean that to be offensive or anything. Right. It's like when I have a WWE guy in, I tell him right off the bat, I don't know anything about professional wrestling. But how does that work? I mean, so you win this Academy of Country Music Award, and for Best New Artist.
Yeah. And
but you have 3 albums out.
We put our first single out 6 years ago, and I'm a little bit of a country music history buff, so it sounds a lot funnier and it sounds a lot less normal than what it is. But over the course of time, that's happened, like to artists like me. Eric Church just won it a couple years ago, well into his career. You go back to guys like Kenny Chesney, and they won it on their 3rd album, so I was happy to be the next one of those guys. So if my career turns out to be like those guys, I'll be a happy man.
What does it mean to you when you win an award like that? Obviously, people like to be recognized for their work and whatnot. But I mean, did you really? I mean, obviously, you wanted to win it, but
yeah. I told the guys that I was up against for that award, Brett Eldridge and Kip Moore, who I'm good friends with both of them, I told them backstage, I said, I really want to beat y'all's ass. I love y'all, but I wanted to win, man. I've been at this a while, and we've had a lot of success. Both of our first 2 albums have gone gold. We're out headlining arenas. We've had a lot of things good happen in our career, but that was the one thing that had eluded us was an award. And nobody gets into this business to win awards, but it sure is nice when you do. And I thought it was really validating for all of the work that, not only me, but my team has put in. We travel around the country with 26 people, every day. And I was happy for them. I was happy for my mom and dad, who both got second jobs for me to pursue this as a career. It was just, for a lot of us, it was a validation for the previous 15 years of work and energy,
You say that you told these guys, you said, look, I want to beat your ass. I want to win this award. Is there anything in country music, feuds, like rappers, you would always they're always
East Coast,
West Coast, stabbing, shooting, that sort of, a lot of trash talking in rap.
Yeah.
What about in country? Because these are macho guys, but everyone seems so polite.
Everybody's pretty much buddies. I mean, that's boring, I know, but it's the truth. We're all kind of pulling for each other.
Can we somehow start a feud?
We could, yeah. There was one last year with just for a brief, stint. Zach Brown and Luke were.
What were they arguing about?
Zach had some negative comments about a Luke Bryan song, but I think. Kissed and made up.
And then they
didn't really kiss. But
and then it's that's not accepted in the country music world at all. So it's smooth up. What do you think about artists like? It seems like a lot of these are like Taylor. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of artists that are considered country, but they're very mainstream. It's almost pop-like. I mean, what do country artists think about the state of country music right now?
I'm a more traditional sounding guy. So I grew up on the old school stuff, Willie, Waylon, that whole bunch, and I prefer to listen and play traditional sounding country music, but country music has always gone through cycles. It's always sounded a little more pop and then a little more country and back and forth thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Taylor Swift considered a country artist?
She is, yeah. That's where she started, But I think, to finish that thought, country is more diverse now than it's ever been, period. And, for me, being a traditional guy, I'm cool with it. It doesn't. I think some people don't like it, but I think it's grown our format a lot.
Yeah,
so
it probably brings more people to the table.
As long as it brings more fans that get to hear my music, then I'm like, hey, go for it. That doesn't mean I have to play it.
Yeah. So, you grew up where?
I grew up in Arkansas, just outside of Little Rock, a little small town of 300 people.
Really? 300 people are in this town.
No stoplights, nothing.
No, not even a stoplight in the town.
I'm fixing to build a house there. I'm fixing to move back there.
See, that sounds incredibly boring to me, but but you want to actually move back.
Yeah, I live just outside of Little Rock now, in a suburb of Little Rock, so I don't even live in Nashville. I did for about 10 years, and I have 2 little girls and another child on the way with my wife, and it's good for me to be back home close to family. And so, yeah, we're fixing to build a house, and that's where we're going to be. I just got some land from my papa, and it sounds like a country song, right? But no, I'm an avid outdoorsman. I hunt and fish, and I'm sponsored by Cabela's, and the NRA. So there you go. But that's kind of my thing.
So everyone knew each other in this little town.
Oh yeah.
What did your parents do?
My dad works for the Postal Service, and he's actually getting close to retiring finally. I'm happy for him. And my mom helps me and my wife out with our girls now, but my mom and dad owned a restaurant for a long time.
So when you were a little kid, they would work in this restaurant.
Yeah, we had you guys know what a meat and 3 is?
No.
It's meat and 3 vegetables. That's what you get,
okay.
basically. I think that's a Southern thing, but we had fried catfish, barbecue, all that kind of stuff. It was, a little small town place, but it was taught me a lot about working hard because I had to work there.
Yeah, your
up.
grandparents lived close to you, right?
Yep. Both sets.
You, at an early age, I mean, they're putting you. I mean, they're like you said with this hard work. They're basically putting you to work because people out there they work. They do farming and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I grew up on about 60, 70 acres, and it wasn't our main source of income. Cattle, it wasn't, but it was supplementary income, and basically it was a way for my grandma to get my grandpa out of her hair.
And you start singing at an early age then?
Yeah, in church and stuff like that. It was not something that I ever thought I was going to do for a living, because you grow up in a town like that, you don't think that's possible. You can't fathom doing this for a living.
Right.
You're not supposed to dream this big. And I started playing music my junior or senior year of high school, and I thought, man, this is actually pretty cool. And my dad is the one who actually said, "What do you think about doing that for a living?" I go, "Huh? You can do that for a living?" And so my parents were very supportive, as opposed to the opposite, where some parents, when you go home from college and you go, "I'm not going back to college, I'm going to go try to be a country music star," where they would go, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
Right.
And they were very supportive of me, and obviously still are. So.
That's surprising, because most parents would go, "Wait a second, that's a great thing. You want to be a country music star, fantastic, but chances are you're going to fail, and it's not going to pay the bills, so you better have something else to do."
Right.
What would you have fallen back on if all of this didn't work out?
I'd probably be shoveling cow crap back home in Arkansas. No, I didn't have a plan B. I really didn't. I just thought, I can go back to college anytime, and probably something in the medical field if I had to guess. But thank God I didn't have to.
How'd you get the first record deal? Because I have bands come in here all the time. It's hit or miss. There are so many people that are talented. They never get record deals. How did you get this first record deal?
Well, when I moved to Nashville, I didn't really know anybody, and an attorney that I was working with also knew my producer. His name's Jeremy Stover, and at the time he was kind of an up and coming producer. And he said, "I think you guys would hit it off." And we started writing songs together and recorded some music. And long story short, my record label president was leaving his job at his record label and was starting his own record label. And at the time, I'm going, "Oh yeah, he's starting his own record label. Yeah, this is great." And 6-8 months later, Taylor Swift happened. That was his first artist. So
that's a good first artist to have.
Yeah, no kidding. So we just we kept in touch, and after 3, 4, 5 years of knowing each other, and me continuing to grow as an artist and a songwriter, they said, "Man, let's go do a record together." So I was in town for 5, 6 years in Nashville prior to me getting my record deal. I signed my record deal at my wedding in 2007, and I didn't tell my wife that till years after. But it was a pretty special day. So
the first record comes out. Does it have a lot of success? The first one?
Yeah, it's a gold album, which is hard to have nowadays.
Was there anything about the process that because everyone wants a record deal. You want to put out a record, you want to be heard on the radio, of course, but was there anything that surprised you that once you got all of that stuff?
How much work it actually takes. Not necessarily just cutting the album, but I remember back in the early days, I didn't get to travel around on a tour bus. We had a top 15 song on the radio, and I was still in a van and a trailer, and I'm going, golly, what does it take to get a bus around here? We got a hit song out there, and I think the amount of work and the amount of effort that you had to put in and continue to do so even after having success really surprised me. So now I'm lazy. I don't do anything. Did
when you were growing up, when you were in high school and stuff, were other kids cool with your music and whatnot, or did they? Sometimes in high school, kids can be cruel. They'll be like, "What are you, some sort of homo or something?" Like if you have an artistic bone in your body,
it's it's weird, especially in a little podunk town like where I grew up.
Right,
but I would say no to that because I really didn't start doing it like a lot of guys who are in this business. I didn't know that I wanted to do this when I was 12 and start taking guitar lessons. Like all the guys in my band, this is all they've ever wanted to do. All I ever wanted to do is play baseball and basketball. I was an athlete and was actually going to play baseball in college and looked in the mirror and realized I was 5'6" and probably wasn't going to make money doing that. And so, no, they really didn't. And at the time when I started, they thought, oh, that's cool. And, maybe we'll pick up some chicks if you play this show or whatever. So.
When did you meet your wife? Because you're married. You have a couple of kids, one on the way. You got married at the age of 23.
Yep. 23.
That's early.
Yeah, it is. God bless my wife for putting up with me. But we met in Panama City, Florida.
Oh, with spring break or something?
Senior trip.
Oh, yeah. Crazy time.
Came back with something I couldn't get rid of, but thankfully it was something that I wanted.
Yeah. Normally it's an STD.
Yeah, I didn't have to take a pill or anything.
Was it immediately? Did you hit it off right off the bat?
We did. We were actually. I used to be a good kid. I don't know what happened to me. But we were 18 years old, so we've known each other for almost 13 years now. But to answer your question, but she had 6 of her friends with her. I had 6 with me, and she's from Louisiana. I'm from Arkansas, so unfortunately I didn't hold that against her because I can't stand LSU. But I'm a big college football fan. But no, we were the ones who were kind of cleaning up our drunk friends, and we were pretty good. We just kind of sat around and talked, and we're like, God, let me go clean him up. And she was helping her friend, holding her hair while she puked. And so we were actually the ones that weren't doing all the crazy partying and all that, so we kind of hit it off.
But so then you went back, because you guys were in high school at the time when you met in Florida. So
we had just graduated high school, so it was the summer after we graduated.
So she lives in another state. Mm-hmm. How did you guys keep this thing? How did you keep this thing alive?
We saw each other once every 6 weeks, and we had astronomically high phone bills.
I thought he was going to say astronomically hot sex because I was pent up for 6 weeks.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was about ready to come out of your mouth.
You're on a rock station when. No, we just kind of kept in touch on the phone, and at that time there was no FaceTime or Skype or anything like that.
Right.
But she would come up, or I would go down to Louisiana, and then I moved to Nashville. Originally I was in Arkansas, then I moved to Nashville, and she finished college and then moved to Nashville, and we got married in
That's a big deal, bringing a girl out to live with you. So you were positive at that time. You go, this must be the one, I guess.
Yeah, and we just kind of hit it off, and she hates when I say this. I don't believe there's one person for everybody out there. I think there's a handful of people throughout your life that you could be happy with, and I found mine pretty early.
And so this was all, you met her well before your career took off or anything,
which is something that I'm thrilled about, because I wouldn't feel real comfortable about trying to find somebody right now, because you would never know, or it would be more difficult to know whether they want to be with you because of you or because of what you do.
Right.
So I'm very fortunate in that aspect.
I hear that you won't even, like in a music video or something, you won't even kiss another girl because you don't want to offend your wife. Is that accurate?
Yeah, my last video, I felt even a little uncomfortable. I didn't kiss her or anything, but the girl kind of laid her head on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I felt a little uncomfortable with even that. I just don't want to disrespect my wife, That's kind of the old school thing coming out of. I'm kind of an old soul, so.
Now, Justin Moore is here with us, and he is going to be at the Wolstein Center tonight at 7 p.m. For tickets, you can call 877-468-4946. His website is justinmooremusic.com. And like I said, he'll be at the Wolstein Center tonight at 7 p.m. I heard a story that you were kicked out of a restaurant because the guy said you were hitting on a girl there in the restaurant.
In Dallas.
This doesn't sound like, I mean, what you're telling me with the music videos and stuff, that doesn't add up to the story of getting kicked out of a restaurant for hitting someone.
Well, that guy
on someone.
That guy was a dumbass, and he's a wonder I didn't kick his ass.
What happened?
This restaurant, I went down. I'm a big Razorback fan, Arkansas Razorback fan, and they were playing in the Cotton Bowl.
I can tell by the hat.
Yeah, right. In the good times and the bad, man, I got to fly the flag. But my buddy and I went down there. My best friend and I went down for the game, and this particular restaurant was kind of this big open room, and the bar was kind of it was kind of weird. The bar, you really couldn't differentiate between tables, bars. It was just kind of one big room, and I guess the owner's daughter or niece or something was near us in a booth, and we were kind of hanging out at the bar, and one of my buddies said something to one of them, like, "Are y'all about done eating?" Because he's happily married too, and we're great friends with his wife. And this guy just had something up his rear end. He comes over and he's like, "What are y'all doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I was just asking them if they were almost done," because we were kind of waiting on a table to eat. And he didn't like where we were standing, I guess, that close to his. I think he was being overprotective of his boss's niece or daughter or whatever she was.
Must have been one hot piece.
I was like, dude, I go, man, I mean, I got to be honest with you. My wife is way hotter than her. I'm not like, trust me, I have trouble keeping up with one woman. I don't want her too. And so it was just this huge misunderstanding.
So he kicks you out of the restaurant. I mean, do they physically, like, what do you do? Like, if someone tried to kick me out of a restaurant, I'd put up a fight.
Like, you're out of here. And I'm like, out of where? He goes, here. I go, are you freaking kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to have you blatantly hit on my customers, especially my bosses. I go, are you on drugs? I mean, what is wrong with you? And so I thought it was so funny. I tweeted it. I mean, I was like, so obviously I had nothing to hide. I'm the one that put it out there.
Sure. It wasn't like this guy. There's one guy, I think it's a country guy. I forget who it is. The guy who I saw a photo of him on TMZ.com, and he was making out with some chick that wasn't his wife. Do you remember that?
Oh, no.
Who's that? Do you know who that is?
I do.
And like, this guy got busted for it, right? Yeah. Do you know this guy?
He did. I don't know him well. I mean, we know each other.
You don't want something obviously like that to happen.
Lord, no.
I mean, because it's tough to be in the public spotlight these days.
It is.
Do you find women trying to throw themselves at you, or do you ever find yourself in a situation where you go, "Oh man, this isn't going to turn out well"?
I really don't. I mean, we're pretty protected, I mean, especially now. Back when we played bars and clubs, it's a little more difficult, and I used to drink way too much, and I mean, that whole thing. And I've really
that's when bad things happen.
Yeah, that's
basically.
when bad things happen.
That's how cheating happens.
Yeah.
There would be no cheating in the world if guys didn't drink. Right.
I just totally agree.
You drink, I've been dating someone for, I don't know, 9 months now or something, and haven't cheated on her. But I have decided I am not going to I'm going to try to not put myself in situations like this. Because, when we go out, people recognize me. People want to buy. It's sort of the same thing. You're on a bigger scale. You can go all over the country and get this. Me, 50-mile radius. People want to buy you shots because they're excited to see you and meet you. And so...
And you feel like a jerk off if you say no.
Yes, exactly. Right. And then before you know it, bad things are starting to happen because you're buzzed. There's a hot girl. So I've sort of tried to make a conscious decision not to put myself in these situations.
That's
in
exactly
advance.
what I do. It's just not worth it. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And but now that we play in venues as opposed to bars and clubs, it's much easier. I mean, to not get in that situation. And I don't drink as much as I used to. I mean, I have a drink now as opposed to having a night of drinking.
Justin Moore is here with us. He just won the Academy of Country Music Award for Best New Artist, even though it was his third album that he has put out. He'll be at the Wolstein Center tonight at 7 p.m. I know how things are. Things are a little bit different in country music. I'll give you one example. I was talking with Sass Keith, our operations manager, about this, and he said, country. Keith, okay, so you do. This guy doesn't annoy you. He's not a hanger-on.
No, he's great. We're both big Steelers fans.
Yeah.
So we hit it off on that.
We call him Sass Keith because his name is Keith and he looks like Sasquatch. And,
I ain't going there.
But. He was telling me how country artists, they get up in these awards or these award shows, and they get up and they thank country radio and they say how great it is that their songs are played on radio. He goes, you get this in rock or rap, they don't mention radio, they don't mention anything at all. They don't mention it. So things are a little bit different in country than other. And I don't know. I'm assuming the record label and business and that sort of aspect works the same. But when you get to this kind of level, is the money really rolling in at this point? Are you seeing big bucks yet, or not yet?
Well, one thing you're going to get with me is honesty. I make a really good living. I make a lot more money than what I ever dreamed to be possible.
You make more in one night than people sometimes make in 5 years, probably.
Yeah, I make more than my dad does in a year in a night or two. Which is. I'm beyond blessed.
Is it tough to stay grounded in something like that? Because I've seen this happen to people where they start making a bunch of money and they begin to believe sort of the hype around themselves because that you have a record label who tell, oh, you're so great, you're so great. You have people around, oh, you're so great. After a while, you.
It is. It was really difficult for me to handle early on in my career. I didn't understand. Why all these things were happening to me and good things. And it was really tough to handle. And that's one reason I started drinking. And I thought, oh man, I can do anything I want to do. I mean, I deserve this. Look at, and so
you were kind of turned.
Fortunately, I got out of that rut pretty quickly.
You had a phase where you might have been sort of a jerk for a while.
I think so. I just wasn't myself, I would drink too much, and I would, I just thought I didn't really treat people poorly. Except maybe my wife, but I just kind of, I don't know. It was difficult for me to handle success more so than even money. It was just being famous, and I'm not that I'm Brad Pitt or famous or anything like that, but any sense of fame, nobody can really prepare you for that.
Yeah,
I don't think, and I don't know if it was the same for you, but nobody can teach you, hey, this is how it's going to be, and you just kind of have to learn it on your own. And fortunately, I got out of that pretty quickly.
Do you take things personally? Like every now and then I'll read something. Criticism doesn't bother me at all. People will criticize me on the internet. I'll see all sorts of stuff. Oh, this sucks, that sucks, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
The one thing that does kind of get to me is when I see someone who say, oh, I met Rover and he was a real jerk, or I know someone who knows Rover and he was a real jerk. And
that's an attack against your integrity.
That irritates me because I go out of my way to try to be nice to people when I meet them. Do you take this stuff personally?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I think another thing early on in my career that bothered me was critics. I mean, everybody hates my music, according to the critics. I'm like, well, we're selling out arenas,
right?
So somebody likes it. So that doesn't really bother me. I don't make albums for critics. I make albums for myself and my fans, and a lot of whatever. But yeah, like you said, if somebody goes, man, I met Justin and he was a butthole or whatever, that bothers me because that's an attack against my integrity, and that bothers me. But maybe you're doing a show and you meet 100 people and you just you're out of it for just a minute, and one,
Right, when
99 of them thought you were the sweetest guy ever, and
Right.
one guy was like, oh.
No, I mean, that does
That bothers
happen
me,
sometimes.
yeah.
We'll do, something, and we do a big festival, Rover Fest, every year with 15,000 people come out to this thing, sells out in an hour. You meet God knows how many people.
Mm-hmm.
You really tried to meet and then sometimes, like, if you're signing autographs or whatever, the person behind you, like an assistant or something, will go, hey, someone just called. And so you're listening to what they're saying. You're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
I do try to make an effort to really connect with people, but sometimes it's impossible.
Yeah, we're human beings. We have bad days just like everybody else, too. And so we have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
So, maybe my daughter's sick and I'm having a bad day because whatever. It's just definitely not intentional.
Is that tough not having the family around?
Yeah, but I'm fortunate now that I have my own bus and my band and crew have their own buses, and so I get to bring my family on the road with me quite a bit, and they're not old enough to be in school, so they travel with me quite a bit. And I'm not sure how the rock world is, but we usually just play Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, so I'm usually home.
Oh, really?
Sunday through Wednesday, so that's kind of the typical country tour. That's how that works. So I'm really home 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So, early on in your career, you're gone all the time because you're doing radio interviews and you're doing this and that and going out promoting stuff. But fortunately, after you have some success, you can kind of back it down. We're only going to play 100 shows this year.
That's still a lot.
Which sounds like a lot,
yeah.
But if I told you with travel, you would work 150 days and you'd be off 200, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that.
So,
right. Now, you mentioned this tour bus that you have a separate tour bus in your crew.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy who was actually killed, I think, by your crew. He ran into your crew's tour bus or something.
Yeah, this
right?
was a couple of years back.
You weren't there, or were you there? Did you see any of this?
It was my crew or band bus one, and it's just incredibly unfortunate. Some of my guys that are still with me saw it, and the car hit the side of my bus, and then they both stopped, the bus and the car, and one of the guys, I think maybe the driver, got out to pull a kid out of the back or something, something like that. I'm not exactly sure, and a car topped the hill and just hit the guy. And just it really bothered my crew bus driver.
I bet.
Because he was right there, and just unfortunate. I mean, you hear of that happening every now and then. I think Jason Aldean just had an incident like that where his bus or his tour, his crew bus was leaving a show, and a guy walked right out in front of him and unfortunately got hit and died. And it's just you obviously hate that.
Do you ever get nervous in these tour buses? Because I'm the kind of guy, like, we'll go to one of our stations, and they'll, if it's far away, we have to fly. But if it's a close station, like our station in Rochester, it's a 4.5 hour drive or something like that. So what they'll do is they'll send a limo, and we'll just take a limo out there. I did that once or twice. I go, forget this. I'm driving myself because I'm in the back of this limo. There's no seat belts in there.
No, you're laying down.
I'm the kind of guy, right? I know. I go, this is bad news. I don't. Do you ever get nervous because you're on these tour buses? You could be going for very long periods of time in the middle of the night. There's no. I mean, you're laying down, or you're on a couch, or you're in the bed. There's no seat belts going on in this. Does that ever cross your mind?
First of all,
he's like, no, it didn't, but thanks. Thanks for pointing it out to me.
First of all, I absolutely hate to fly. I hate flying. I'm terrified of flying. I don't do it very often. I feel much safer in my bus. Somebody's got to hit that thing pretty hard for me to get hurt in it. I mean, it's a big machine.
Yeah.
And lastly, the difference in that and like a limo is I know my driver well, and I got to hire my driver. So I trust him. It's not just some guy,
right?
And so, if I didn't have a relationship with my driver, it takes a little while to build that trust. And so my guy's been with me a couple of years now, and I know that he's a great guy, and I know he's good at what he does, and so I feel pretty comfortable.
Before I let you go, Justin Moore is here. He'll be at the Wolstein Center tonight at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available, 877-468-4946. You mentioned earlier hunting. You're a big hunter. You're sponsored by someone for hunting
Cabela's,
and all this kind of stuff.
And the NRA.
I never really... See, I'm a gun guy. I believe everyone should have a gun. I never got into... Like, hunting freaks me out. I don't want to kill anything. It just doesn't appeal to me at all. Someone organized some sort of big game hunt or whatever that you went on. I think. I didn't read it.
Yeah.
You walked in and I was in the middle of reading this. Yeah. And they got a fine because they... What happened?
Yeah, it was so bizarre. I went on a hunting trip out in Montana. It was for a TV show that was, I believe, on Sportsman Channel or Outdoor one of those channels. And you know, I've done a lot of these shows, whether it be through Cabela's or NRA or whatever it's been through. And I never see the permit or the tag. I just know that they have it. But you would assume somebody from the show has it or whatever.
Right.
And apparently the FBI tells me that I didn't have one for that one, and it was not me.
That's
only
serious.
me. It was 3 or 4 different artists or more that had done this same trip, and it was just an incredible trip. I killed a nice elk, and it's now property of the FBI.
they took this. They took this thing from you.
I was gonna have to go testify. I mean, I was not in any trouble. I wasn't in trouble.
Whoever organized it was the one that was in trouble.
So they were, I was going to have to, go testify, but they took a plea bargain and I didn't have to. So
how often do you go hunting?
As often as I can.
What do you shoot? What's the like the biggest thing or the most exciting?
An elk is probably the biggest animal I've been able to take. But growing up, I deer hunted, turkey hunted, duck hunting's huge where I grew up.
What do you do with these things after you
eat it? Man.
You eat it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you're actually getting some sort of use out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't believe in just killing some and letting it lay there.
Yeah,
obviously. But no, I
always, because I see these hunting shows and I see like
I'm a big cook too, so I enjoy it.
They kill something and then the guy's like holding up this head like and they're holding it up and he's like, "What a beautiful animal this is! It's so beautiful." I go, "You just killed it. It's not."
You blew its head off. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. The thing is, though, if for people who are, and you're not against hunting, I'd take it.
No, if you want to hunt, I would never do it.
The thing is, you just hypothetically white-tailed deer.
Yeah.
They kill a lot of humans. Car wrecks.
Sure.
They're way overpopulated. And there's not enough vegetation. A lot of them die of starvation. Rather than just living out their nice life, you know. So it's all about conservation too. It's actually good, and I believe God put animals here for us to eat. Yeah. For our use.
You don't talk about your politics at all, really, because at least that's what I read.
Yeah.
Well, why? Is this a conscious decision? Like you don't want to alienate people? It's polarizing.
Well, I try to behave nowadays, man. I'm
guessing you're extremely liberal. He's for gay marriage, loves Barack Obama, Obamacare, top notch, right?
I just try to stay away from the subjects that I know I was going to get me in trouble with somebody. I try to stay away from subjects where I'm going to get a phone call from my record label going, "Did you really just say this?" But I think anybody who knows anything about me probably knows where I stand on just about everything without me having to come out and say it. You know, I think it's pretty obvious.
Justin is going to be at the Wolstein Center tonight at 7 p.m. It's his Off the Beaten Path tour.
Good to be back at the Wolstein Center. I've not played it. The first time I ever played here was the first major tour I was ever on, Leonard Skinner and Hank Williams Jr., so it's the first time I'm back since then. It was like 5-6 years ago. So.
When Sass Keith told me that you were playing a show here, and he always told me, he goes, "This guy is on the verge of making it huge." And I said, "Let's get him on the show. Let's talk to him." And then he told me that you're playing at the Wolstein Center. I go, "Well, that's a pretty big venue to headline." I mean, that's impressive. And
it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, so you can get tickets for this still. 1-877-468-4946. That I had even considered. I told Sass Keith, I go, "Listen, we haven't done. I told you about this big festival that we do every year." And what we do, we're on a rock station, but we're a talk show. So we'll put rock acts on there, but we also put like hip hop acts on there. We'll put Nelly played it last year. We've had Vanilla Ice, 2 Live Crew, the guy from Run DMC. We like to mix it up. And I said, I don't know anything about country. And Keith, I went to him. I go, what about this guy that you always have such a stiffy for, this Justin Moore? should we get him to play Roverfest? And he's like, that would be good. That would be great. He goes, but he would cost X amount of dollars. The figure that I got was jaw-dropping. I go, oh, yeah, no, Justin Moore won't be playing at Roverfest.
So we should do it. You know, and I love rock, especially classic rock. But I grew up on old school country and classic rock, southern rock. But we just recorded a song with Motley Crue.
Oh, really?
We recorded "Home Sweet Home" for a tribute album that my record label's doing. We're shooting a video with those guys in Nashville in a couple of weeks. So it's you know, I don't think the worlds are as far apart as they used to be. You know,
well, that could be a huge crossover for you to expose you to a whole new
we're thinking
audience.
about putting it out as a single, actually. So
it could be huge.
Yeah.
What do you think about, like, we had Nelly play last year. He had that song with Florida Georgia Line. Or would you ever do a collaboration like that with rap? You say you're more of an old school guy. You wouldn't.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
You know, It's a stretch for me to even get outside my comfort zone and go rock a little bit, but I feel more comfortable doing that. I don't feel comfortable doing rap.
Well, Justin Moore playing Roverfest for free, he told me this year. We've hooked it up. We're doing a backroom deal.
You know, anything I can do.
Hey, listen, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. You have some music to play. You have Justin Moore. What's his biggest song? What's your biggest song right now at this moment?
Right now, our single's called "Letting the Night Roll."
Letting the Night Roll. You have that, Charlie?
Yes,
okay.
You guys are pros.
I'll let a little Justin Moore play us out. I appreciate you coming in, my man. Have fun at the show tonight. We will be right back on Rover's Morning Glory. Hang on.